Good morning for me. How you doing, everyone? It's been a little while since I've uploaded anything, and I just want to say hello and give you a little check-in. Um, I've been posting quite a bit on Patreon updates about the book, The Year in Fighting 2019. And I guess I kind of agonized over and over and over about how to do live video drawing and I decided that it's better to just kind of diversify the kind of content that I put out rather than. I think one of the things I find really tedious about social media and promoting work is to be like, oh, I'm going to make this artwork and now I got to post it to like 3 or 4 different platforms. And something about that kind of kills the momentum and my feeling about work. And that's the last thing I want because I really love working. So I've decided that I will check in, make these videos, let you know what's going on and what's going on in life. But I'm not going to make actually drawing on video be a major part of it, at least for now. So, all right, great. That's pretty much life right now. Uh, I've really enjoyed. I'm getting used to the summer, even though it's most of the way over. I've spent a lot of time with my kids, taking them to camp in the mornings, and then I get to work for a couple hours, and that's real nice. I've been sitting down and trying to come up with a new way of watching fights and coming up with imagery, and it's really been paying off. I spent a long time rewatching Adesanya versus Gastelum and Holloway versus Edgar, and I made 2 big spreads. They're 16 images each. Kind of for Holloway Edgar, I tried to parse the whole fight, get a lot of imagery from the whole thing, give the feel. And then for Adesanya versus Gastelum, I focused on the 4th and 5th rounds, which were, pretty just super dramatic. I don't know if you guys have rewatched that fight, but that thing is just stunning. From beginning to end, my pulse quickens every time they get ready for the 5th round, and Adesanya's like talking to himself, and I love it every time. And I spoke with Kaposa, the Grabaka Hitman, the MMA tastemaker, to quote Chad Dundas, about rewatching that fight and Holloway Poirier, and he and I differ. We diverge in our opinions. He's more of he feels that's a greater fight, and I understand why. It's more of like a test of one's mettle, and there's something about seeing Poirier kind of finally reach the top of a mountain in such a brutal way and make Max look human again. Whereas, I'm a bigger fan of like the fact that Adesanya Gastelum has like a straight up cinematic progression where it's tied up 2 rounds apiece going into the 5th, and that we were gifted or that we were blessed with the such a clear cut winner of the 5th round. I personally thought that fight should have been stopped. I thought Gastelum took an unholy amount of damage in the 5th round. I think he got dropped 3 times, and especially that when he's kind of on his hands and knees and Adesanya is standing over him, just winging down punches. I thought that fight could have been stopped, but it's kind of neither here nor there because the outcome was so clear, and the decision mirrored the progression of the 5th round. Let's see. I've gone out to a couple shows recently. I've been getting out a little bit. That's really nice. I went on a long, once you got the kids, I got 2 kids under 5. You stop doing things altogether. You spend most of your day on survival. But now we can go out a bit, and I saw Brass Against the Machine, which is a brass band with an electric guitar player. and they cover Rage Against the Machine, a couple other '90s songs. I've seen them do a Tool, Lateralus. That sounds fantastic. What a horn group! But they were awesome. They were on a boat, and it was a crazy big storm. I guess it was a booze cruise. I was not drinking that night though, and it was pouring. It was pouring like crazy. I had to send the kids off with a babysitter, and my wife met me there. She came from work. We were like, all right, let's just try and get this. So I took the train into Manhattan, and I was hungry, and I popped out 23rd Street, and I'm walking towards the East River where the boats were docked, and I was poking around looking for some food. I have one of my favorite noodle shops. There's a couple of them in this city called Shan Famous Foods. They have, I guess it's northern or western style Chinese food. It's these beautiful, delicious, best noodles. Although they're not as good as when I first found out about them and they were fewer shops. But sometimes the noodles there are absolutely fantastic. You can watch them hand pull the noodles while they're getting ready making the food. But they make a cumin lamb noodle dish, and it's real spicy, and I absolutely love it. I've been eating there about maybe a little less than 10 years. I think I found the place in like 2011, and it's just been stunning. So cumin lamb noodle, if you're ever in New York, Xi'an Famous Foods, Xian, go get that. It's a killer. So I bumped into one of those. I'm gonna try and do a better job with the mic. I really want this to be a reasonably enjoyable experience for you. Anyway, Brass Against was fantastic. The storm was crazy. We probably stuck in the port for an extra half hour, but it was no big deal. We took off. At one point, we took a break from the set. We went out on the deck, aft, port, and the rain had died down for a minute, and we watched a giant bolt of lightning hit the Freedom Tower, which was amazing. And everybody out on the deck was like, "Oh my God, did you get it?" And they all took out their phones, and they're like waiting for the next bolt of lightning. And my wife and I are like, "Let's get out of here. There's nothing better going to happen." We saw the most magical thing of the evening. We went back and watched the rest of the show. And like a real parent, I was thrilled that we got home. We got home like before midnight. Oh, I was so happy. Our kids were away, and we actually got a reasonable amount of sleep considering we got home so late. And my friend's band played at this market that we go to on the weekends, and he has a gypsy jazz band. I don't know if you're familiar with Django Reinhardt. I'm a big fan of his and the gypsy jazz music. It's you would recognize it if you're not familiar with it. They in a lot of the early Pixar stuff, they would have like this real like jazzy, lighthearted acoustic guitar and maybe violin. You would recognize the sound, and that's Django Reinhardt on guitar and Stefan Grappelli on violin, and they're just beautiful music. Django's a real gypsy. Maybe I'll do some work about him one day. I was deep into music for a very long time. I was in a band I played music in bands for about 15 years, and I was in one band for 11 years. And those guys, the other two guys I played with for the entire duration, I would say they're the closest friends I have. And I really, that's the best collaborative thing I ever did. I really, it was really amazing, especially in the early days when you're young, in your early 20s, and like, I'm a little bit of a strong flavor personality wise, and to be humbled over and over and over again by these guys who are just better players than me, but still wanted to play with me. That was a good experience, big growing experience. And to stick around for that long was really beneficial. Anyway, We're coming up on the 10-minute mark. I'm going to cap it there. I'll try and do these more often. And thanks for checking everything out. I'll be back. Take care of yourself. Talk to you later.